little closer up and a little different location. But today's topic, talking about early Rome and its formation and then transition into the Republic. Rome, in its location in Italy, uh, borrowed a lot of aspects of its culture and civilization from the Greeks and the Etruscans. It's kind of like a hybrid civilization in that sense, to where they're borrowing so much from other people and then turning it into something uniquely Roman. And so you take something like the gods, all right, very similar to the Greek gods, but then with a decidedly Roman name. And so Zeus becomes Jupiter, for example. And so you have that happening there. But again, essentially what you see happening is Rome establishing itself through the connection with the Greeks and the Etruscans. That's kind of the two main groups that it helped to influence the Romans. I think the Latins also played a significant role in that. But in the early stages of Rome, they founded and they started what was known as a republic. Now, in a republic, essentially, the difference between a republic and a democracy is in a democracy, just your average citizens are voting on the issues. Okay, and obviously, we can talk about, we've talked about the degrees to which that's the case throughout Athens. But in Rome with the republic, you have citizens who are meant to represent the will of the people. Okay, and so they're representatives, hence republic. And within Rome, you had really two different legislative assemblies, or representative assemblies. You had the Senate and you had the General Assembly. Okay, and really where you were at in society determined which house you could actually serve in, but really the Senate was the one that was calling the shots. And from a social standpoint, you had two groups of people, the plebeians and the patricians. The patricians were the wealthy, the landowners. If you're a patrician, you could be in the Senate. If you were a plebeian, you were just kind of like the average Joe or average Jane, then you only had the opportunity to be in the General Assembly. So essentially, that's what you're looking at there in terms of republic. But even from its early stages, even as a republic, Rome, as a civilization, had expansionary aspirations. They wanted to turn the Mediterranean Sea into what was later known as a Roman, or later referred to as a Roman lake. And one of their early rivals was actually just across the Mediterranean, the Carthaginians. And so they had fought a series of wars with the Carthaginians known as the Punic Wars. And in these wars, we can talk about the Scipio, and we can talk about Hannibal Barca. We've talked about this ad nauseum in class, certainly. But obviously the major outcome of the war against Carthage during the Punic Wars is with the Rome victory and through the salting of the fields at Zama, the complete annihilation of the Carthaginian forces and Carthaginian civilization, for that matter. Rome became the dominant force throughout the Mediterranean, and from there they could expand out and truly create their Mediterranean lake as they had hoped. Okay, and so with that, it's hard to be expansionary and to include more and more people, more diverse peoples, and still maintain a republican form of government. And so it only becomes natural that an empire is going to emerge out of this, because an empire will usually emerge out of military conquest because of the power and the strength that the military has altogether. Okay, and so if you're saying we're going to go out and expand, we're going to go take over more lands, we're going to do all this, you're going to need a military to do it. Which, if it takes a military to do it, okay, all of a sudden the military is going to grow. The military grows. That means your generals become exceedingly powerful. It is no coincidence that towards the end of the Roman Republic and into what was known as the First Triumvirate, which we'll get into next, that these individuals were all generals. Okay? And that's what we will look at next. So again, we started with the early influences of Rome with the Greeks and the Etruscans, and then its transition into a republic, and how it had kind of two different assemblies, either the Senate and the General Assembly, and your serving in one or the other was determined by your status in society. Your patricians could be in the Senate, and your plebeians just had to serve in the regular assembly, just the General Assembly. Okay, and so next we'll get into that transition from republic into empire, and then also into the rise of Christianity, which plays a significant role in Rome's history. Bye.